Meditation is not about happiness. It's about inner peace. You see, happiness comes and goes, just like the weather. Like a cloud in the sky, happiness is temporary. But inner peace is like a brick of a foundation that we can build something beautiful on. My name is Ed Hegan. I'm a former New York City firefighter, and I'm a mindfulness meditation coach. And I teach people how to manage stress in their lives and find inner peace by understanding their emotions and learning to regulate their nervous system. And I've spent years chasing fun, pleasure, happiness, joy, all the fleeting emotions, only to realize that it never really lasted. But what I discovered through mindfulness meditation is a deeper way to reset, to come back home to myself and to feel steady and grounded, even when the outside world doesn't always feel so secure. We can create a sanctuary within our hearts where we can always turn to for peace. And learning to cultivate this is an important skill that most of us have never been taught. So if you're ready, let's just jump in and practice a little mindfulness meditation and breath work as we drop into this meditation. You don't have to do anything. You can simply just listen to the sound of my voice. But if you're in a spot where you can safely settle in, you can sit up straight, try to keep your spine straight, or you can lay down if you want. And what I want you to do is exhale all the air out of your lungs. Inhale slowly through the nose and fill your belly and your chest. And hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. And slowly blow it out like smoke. Let's do one more long, slow, deep breath through the nose. Fill the belly. Fill the chest. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. And slowly exhale. And the reason that we tap into the power of our breath is simply because when we become aware of our breath, we become aware of our body. We become aware of the present moment. We connect more deeply to ourselves in the present moment. And our thinking mind goes offline a bit. The worrying about tomorrow and yesterday and all the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves, we can put that down for a little while and just focus on breathing deeply, connecting with our body, and connecting with the present moment. And this little vacation that we give ourselves from the monkey mind, which is always jumping all over the place, concocting stories, thinking about things that happened yesterday, or worrying about things that might happen tomorrow. And we can give ourselves a little mini vacation from the monkey mind and just take a break with sharing a couple deep breaths and tapping into the present moment and exploring this concept of what it means to search for external joy, happiness, and pleasure, and how that's very different from being grounded and peaceful and cultivating a practice that allows us to stay steady and cool and calm, even when life outside is stormy. This is a skill that we can learn, just like we go to the gym and learn how to increase our strength, our stamina, our endurance. We are building the inner fortitude and the inner resilience necessary to handle anything that life throws at us. And especially in our culture, we've been sold this idea that we're supposed to be happy. But happiness is just a temporary state. And we've also been sold this idea that a lot of these practices, like meditation, are supposed to make us happy. And that's fundamentally not true. Happiness is just an emotion. And just like sadness and joy and grief and anger, it's temporary. Like I said, just like a cloud in the sky. You can see happiness externally from an experience that you're having, and a joy or a sadness or an anger. You can see it, but it's a temporary state. And our bodies, our brains, our nervous systems are not meant to be in a perpetual state of stimulation like happiness or joy or anger or sadness. So when we notice that we are having emotions, we can notice them again like external patterns of weather on the sky. Just like a storm can come in if we're angry, that storm is not going to last forever. And the blue sky is always behind it. The sun is always shining behind the thunderclouds, the storm clouds, the lightning, all that stuff. And meditation is a way to calm our nervous systems, to slow down and gain a little bit of clarity over what we're experiencing. And in that way, if we're experiencing happiness, we don't need to hold on to it. We can experience it, immerse ourselves into that moment, and then we can let it go. We can breathe deeply and gracefully surrender what we think we want, and instead cultivate peace and gratitude for having that happiness. Because our emotions are really, they're tools to allow us to understand ourselves. Like the lights on a dashboard that will tell us there's a problem or indicate if there's an issue that needs to be addressed. In the same way, if we feel a heavy emotion, we can ask ourselves, what is this emotion trying to teach me about what I'm experiencing, about my life, about how I'm responding to life? And so this is a daily reset that can help us to respond more choicefully, more intentionally, instead of reacting from these old negative patterns that we were taught when we were children about how to stay safe. So if those old patterns of reactivity don't serve you anymore, if you notice that you're that type of person that likes to claim like, oh, I'm the type of person that pisses me off, or that annoys me, or that irritates me, or I like that, or I hate this, just take a pause. You don't need to derive your identity from being a certain way. You can actually recognize that you are a fluid being that is constantly changing. And you don't have to allow the things that used to irritate you and annoy you to have power over you. So you can choose, choicefully, intentionally respond to life instead of reacting, being dragged around by the strings like a puppet by our emotions and our feelings and our thoughts and the stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves, most of which aren't true. So spend some time to investigate that. If the story you're telling yourself about yourself is true or not. And this kind of helps you to recognize, like, sometimes the things that we get caught up in, the stories and the feelings that we have, they're not true. They're stories that we make up because it allows us to tell ourselves a story that makes us feel empowered. Maybe we feel empowered by making ourselves into a victim. I know that sounds like it's a contradiction in terms, but sometimes people really thrive and feel empowered when they're a victim. How dare you do that to me? Nobody speaks to me like that. And it creates this kind of conflict that can help us take some of the feelings that we are uncomfortable feeling and we direct them outwardly. This is a classic example of how if we don't process our feelings and sit with them and understand them, they will manifest themselves in ways that are really unhealthy. And we will start looking to cause and create conflict with the people in our lives because we just simply don't know how to feel and express our emotions in a healthy way. And we don't know how to learn the lessons from what these emotions are teaching us and integrating that into our lives. So instead, we become like a lightning rod and we become angry or frustrated and we direct it toward other people. So when we start to pay attention to what's going on inside of us, we can use these emotions, these stories we tell ourselves about ourselves, these feelings, to remind ourselves that not all of the things that we feel, not all of our emotions, not all of the things we think are true. Now, the emotion is real. We might feel hurt, sad, upset, angry, and even happy. but it's not our essential nature, and it doesn't define who you are. So that's why when we understand that when we're looking for a state that is desirable, it doesn't always mean that we're searching for a state where there's nothing wrong in our lives. Meaning, practicing meditation with the aim of improving the way that we feel doesn't mean that we don't have any problems. Peace simply means that we can accept everything just as it is. It doesn't mean that everything in our lives is perfect. And peace means that you're okay, even when things in your life aren't. Even when you're going through a tough time and there's a storm in your heart, there's a breakup in your world, there's a catastrophic diagnosis, you lose someone you love. It hurts. But we can still find and maintain inner peace, even when we're in pain, even when we are frustrated. We can learn to feel what we need to feel and then ground ourselves and recognize that that is truly the gift that we give to ourselves. And if we then need to confront any issues in our lives, if we have to face the uncomfortable truths of some of the experiences that happen to us, we do so from a place of feeling grounded, peaceful, compassionate, and loving toward ourselves. And as we enter into confronting the problems that we face, doing so from a place of peace and clarity can help us to make decisions so that when we interact with other people, when we speak to other people, when we make decisions about how we're going to respond to these things that happen to us, we're not doing so from a place of fear or anger. We're doing so from a place of peace, grounded and solid reliance and trust in ourselves that we can handle anything life throws at us. So inner peace is not like a mood that you're in. It's more of a muscle that you can flex and exercise. And you don't need to feel good to meditate. You don't need to feel good to be mindful. You can still be angry and frustrated, or you can be happy and still tap into the power of that present moment. And if you feel distracted or if things feel heavy, you're not doing anything wrong. I mean, that's exactly why you're here, is to take that weight and that heaviness and to feel it. And then each breath that you take will bring you back to center and ground you. Practice it throughout your day. Make your default state one where if you recognize this temporary state, whether it's joy, take a deep breath and stay present. Anger, frustration, I can't believe she did or said that. Take a breath. Stay present. You see, meditation is not about happiness or anger or joy or frustration, any of these things. It's not about any of these temporary states. It's about acknowledging the external states and what's happening outside of us, and choosing instead to ground ourselves and remain peaceful, relaxed, calm, and grounded. And it's not about chasing this perfect state. It's simply about coming home to your breath, remembering that you are safe, and staying steady and strong and calm, even in the storm. If you want to learn more about deepening your meditation practice, or you want to book a discovery call to do one-on-one work, or maybe you're curious about receiving a guided meditation that's custom tailored to the problems and the challenges you're facing in your world, you can visit edwoodstock.com. And breathe deeply in through the nose. Fill that belly. Fill that chest. Hold it for a few. Tap into the power of the presence of your body, of your breath, of the present moment. Stay grounded, calm, and peaceful. and use that as an opportunity to build the bricks and the foundation of a peaceful and loving life. Thanks for tuning in.